What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's actually going to be a little bit difficult. I've talked about this topic before. It's basically in response to the question that I often get by Japanese people, by other foreign residents, and especially friends and family back in the States. Why Japan? Why have I stayed here for so long? Why have I lived in Japan for 17 years? And I even did an interview on this topic with a colleague, and we talked about, well, we speculated really what kind of foreigner ends up staying in Japan over the long term and what kind of foreign resident packs up and leaves after a few years. Today, though, I want to share some deeper reasons that go beyond the usual, well, I like the culture, or Japan's a high-functioning society and the trains run on time, or, I got married and I live here and my career's here. Going beyond the obvious ones, I actually want to share some of the deeper reasons that I have for staying in this country. And I say it's a hard topic today because I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to put these things into words. But I'm going to do my best, and I'd like you to come along with me for this. Let's go. Before we get into my first deeper reason why I love Japan and why I'm still here after all these years, as you may know, Japan is a culture of showing shallow feelings while holding back their deeper feelings, what is called Tatemae and honne. Tatemae is what you tell to the world or show to the world, the sort of face you put forward for everyone to see, but it's not your real deep inner feeling, and that is honne. Honne is what's inside, what you actually believe and feel. So, in honor of Tatemae and honne, even if you don't really care for this particular video, I would ask you to Tatemae the like button, and if you really truly enjoy this video or any of my videos that you've watched before, express your honne as well, and please hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's get into the deeper, more personal reasons why I love this place and why I still stay here after all these years. I'm going to try to go in order of easiest to explain down to the most difficult to explain, because, as I said, I'm not sure exactly how well I'm going to be able to put these things into words. So I've kind of come up with an umbrella term for them that I'm going to start off with, and maybe that'll help me work my way through them. And the first umbrella term that I'm going to refer to is potentiality. One of the things I love about living in Japan is this potentiality, and I divide this into two parts. The first part is, just like many people who love Japan and want to travel to Japan and want to experience really amazing tourist experiences here in this country, I'm the same way. There are so many things in Japan that I still want to see and do and experience and eat, and people I want to meet, etc. And the fact that I live here means that the potential is always there. Even in Corona time, it's still possible to get out there and do more. I don't have to worry about traveling to this country or having enough money to stay in hotels and that sort of thing, because I'm already here, and that makes things a lot more easy. So, potentiality of just being able to go out and be a tourist again whenever I have the time and the money that will allow me to do so. The second potentiality is opportunities. Whether it's an opportunity to meet or experience something a little out of the norm, or even a chance to make money in sort of side hustles. And I'll give a specific example. I was working just to help out a friend at a tourist business up in the Mount Fuji area. And while I was there, a customer, a foreigner who came in, because basically I was there to help out with any foreign customers who couldn't speak Japanese. And this guy was originally from India, but had come to Japan via the United States, and he was working in Japan at a major Japanese pharmaceutical company. And we got into a conversation, and he asked me, what are you doing in this random tourist business? Why are you working here? And I told him that, well, actually, no, this isn't really my job. I'm just helping out. And my real job is I teach at a university. I teach English and public speaking and critical thinking. And he's like, oh, well, okay. My research team of scientists are amazing researchers, but they're absolutely terrible at giving presentations. So let's drop a contract and you can come to major pharmaceutical company and give my research team some master classes in doing public presentations and speeches. Okay, let's do it. That sounds fantastic. And so it's that sort of thing, these things that pop up. And yes, part of that is being, I guess, a visibly foreign person. I don't look like your average Japanese, so I stand out. But because of that, sometimes these really interesting opportunities and interesting chances to take part in something just kind of unfold in front of me, and that potentiality is an exciting reason to remain in Japan, because I don't think something like that would happen if I'd stayed in the States. So potentiality is the first sort of deeper, stronger personal reason as to why I'm still in Japan after all these years. The next one is a little bit related to that, and that's this idea of actually enjoying or having learned to live with both standing out and blending in at the same time. Now, I'm not really sure I'm going to be able to explain this really well, but it's certainly a phenomenon that, of course, as a foreigner, as a foreign face, I stand out and people recognize me as probably not being Japanese. And that has certain advantages to it, like what I just mentioned in terms of potentiality. But having been here for so long, and the fact that I can just show that I know what I'm doing and that I'm proficient in the culture and that my language level is at a good enough level that I can function normally, well, that gives me a sort of dual superpower in a way, that I'm able to function and blend in Japan in so many ways, and at the same time stand out when it is to my advantage to do so. And I think, as I mentioned in my introduction, that I did some speculation with a colleague about what kind of thing keeps certain foreigners here and what kind of things makes people leave Japan after living here for some time. And I think this is one of those things. If you can make peace with the fact that you're going to stand out while at the same time blending in, and sort of accept that as a reality of your existence, and even turn that into a net positive for yourself, or at least recognize it as not necessarily a true negative, then I think that's one of the things that will allow you as a foreign resident to stay here in the longer term. I think people who just desperately need to fit in are going to have a much tougher time in Japan. The third deeper reason why I'm still in Japan after all these years is there's a connection I've made with the culture that I don't really feel makes a lot of sense. I don't really have the capacity to explain why this is even possible. The term I use for this is borrowed nostalgia. Now, I think everyone has a bit of a nostalgic streak. You love reminiscing about past times and the way things used to be in your life and your childhood and Christmas and those sorts of things. For me, I have a pretty viciously wide and strong nostalgic streak, just in general to begin with. And Japan is a nation that sort of revels in its own nostalgia because it's a proud culture and it's a proud people. And it doesn't really shock anyone that they have these sort of nostalgia machines running in their media, in their writing, and in their television, and in their movies, and in their music. And it's so easy to tap into. If you just watch TV here, or listen to Japanese music, or just exist in Japan, I think, it's really an easy step to sort of embrace nostalgia in Japan. And it's odd though, it's weird because it is borrowed nostalgia. I find myself feeling really strongly nostalgic for times and places and experiences and people that I never experienced firsthand. Like, I wasn't here during the Showa era when Japan was rebuilding post-World War II, or during the bubble era when the economy was booming and everyone was partying. And I don't have any direct relation to that whatsoever, but I can still feel this nostalgia for it nonetheless. If you go to the Ramen Museum in Yokohama, for example, it's made to look like an old town in the Showa era. And when I go there, I feel nostalgic for a time and a place that I never experienced firsthand. It's just easy for me to tap into, and the fact that when New Year's comes around, I didn't grow up experiencing Japanese New Year's as a child, but now I have my own built-up nostalgic feelings for Japanese New Year and spending that time with my Japanese family. It's no different than the nostalgia that I would feel for experiencing Christmas as a child in the States. So yes, borrowed nostalgia. The fact that somehow, some way, I've easily tapped into this. Okay, again, I'm not sure how well I'm really describing these things, but I am being very personal. Like, these are definitely deeper, inner, more reasons why I'm still in Japan after all these years, that, goes beyond the easy answers like family and culture and career and that kind of thing. Okay, the final one. This is going to be the most difficult to explain, and it's the most fleeting of the four, but is no less important for that. The expression I would use to explain this is a Japanese kotowaza, or Japanese saying, expression, e ni naru, which is to become a picture or to become a scene or representation of something. E ni naru. And what this is ever so often in my life in Japan, I will come across the scene. I will just notice something that speaks to me in a way that is representative of life in Japan, and something that you can almost take for granted but will stand out to you in the right circumstances. And these e ni naru moments have come in some way to symbolize these sort of emotional or deeper feelings I have about the culture that I love. And it's important to note that you can't look for these. You can't kind of be constantly on the lookout for opportunities like with the potentiality one I was talking about earlier. No, these just sort of happen, but you have to be open to the possibility of them happening. An example. The other day I was driving home from work and I stopped at a red light, and I wasn't really paying attention to anything in particular, but I watched this mother ride up to the crosswalk on her mamacheri, the sort of steel frame bicycle that are ubiquitous here in Japan. And there were two child seats, one in the front on the handlebars and another one in the back behind the mother. And the front handlebar one had like a backpack in it, and the rear one had a child wearing a helmet. And the mother turned around, and the child said something, and the mother smiled and laughed, and she turned around, she brushed her hair away from her face, getting ready for the light to change. And it was just so completely natural and so much and so lacking in any kind of self-consciousness that it was a perfectly captured moment of just a mother and her child on the way to somewhere or on the way back from somewhere. And it was this tableau, this scene that plays out again and again, but if you catch it right in these moments when people don't feel they're being observed and they just happen naturally, they unfold in front of you in a way that in that you are open and can be appreciative of. I don't know, for some reason these moments just stick out in my mind. They stay with me. And I have probably dozens of these that are just kind of part of the library of memories I have about living here. But not only are they some kind of specific memory, but they're also representative of many memories because they happen in such a natural and yeah, I'm having trouble describing it. They happen in such a natural and uniquely Japanese way that makes them a part of my feeling and love for the overall culture and my understanding of what life in this place is really like. Again, I'm not sure I'm making any sense whatsoever, especially on this last one, but I really appreciate you listening to me as I try to work my way through these. As I've mentioned before, these videos are hopefully informative for you. I do such a variety of topics that hopefully there are some out there that you will be interested in watching. Please go to my page and check my past topics. I have a lot of them, and YouTube isn't necessarily going to recommend older videos to you. But at the same time, these topics are very much for me. They're very much for me to explore why I'm still in Japan and what it is for me to be a foreign resident here. And basically, it's a constant renewal of my understanding of myself and why I'm in this place. So I do it for my own edification as well. Okay, thank you so much for watching this particular video. Again, please check out my other content, and I do drop a new video every single Friday about Japan, society, life and culture, and life here as a foreigner. So please, Tatemae, that's like button, and honne, the subscribe button if you have not already. And I want to thank you very much for watching this video.